Hello, my name is Terry Barnes, and I'm the president of the W.E.B. Du Bois Learning Center, and I am excited to be here today with Dr. Rodney Smith, who is going to be a guest for us as we kick off the W.E.B. Du Bois birthday celebration next weekend. On Friday night, February 22nd, Dr. Smith will bring a topic to the community called The Impact of Black Spaces, the Importance and Significance of Black Barber and Beauty Shops. Dr. Smith, thank you so much for being with us today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, Terry.
You're welcome. Can you talk to us a little bit about why this is a relevant and important topic for us right now?
Well, absolutely. I mean, and particularly the black barbershop and beauty shops are, and in addition to other spaces like our churches, have been the epicenter of many movements, many social awareness opportunities for our community. And I think that we need to highlight that once again and remind people of who we are. And it's still to this day, when I go to the barbershop, even today, it's therapeutic for me. Yeah. I often share with my barbers there are a few places, there are a few institutions that I will never turn my back on as an African American in this country, and the black barbershop is one of them. The black church is another. The black college as well, and black love, black marriage, those are the four institutions that have anchored me personally, but I think it has anchored our community as well.
I think it's very interesting that you refer to the barbershop as an institution, and I think as I've prepared for the weekend, I've learned a little bit more about the barbershop and the significance of it. And one of the reasons that this topic came to us is on Saturday we are celebrating the second annual Black Authors Network and Book Fair. And Derek Barnes will be coming in from North Carolina. Derek Barnes is originally from Kansas City. He graduated from Lincoln High School. He worked at Hallmark Cards, and he is now a successful author. And he recently wrote this book, Crown, an Ode to the Fresh Cut. And this book is all about self-esteem and how little boys feel when they go into the barbershop, and probably more importantly, how they feel when they leave the barbershop. And Derek has won, or Mr. Barnes has won all kinds of awards for this book. There's a whole list. I won't read them. But he will be here on Saturday. He will talk about this book and the beautiful illustrations in the book. And as we thought about that, it dawned on us the value of barber and beauty shops in our own community. And so we decided to think about how we could take that topic and have you share some words about, in Kansas City, some of the black barber and beauty shops and the significance that those have had. And for you to call them an institution, I just think that's really something to think about.
Well, absolutely. And tying into Derek's theme or topic for the book, absolutely, it is very validating. It's a validating space for young as well as old African American men, what we experience in the barbershop. But it's more than just validating. It is also a place where we gain information about what's going on in the community. It's a place for us to go and relax and kick back and be ourselves, let our hair down. I often remember when President Obama was in the presidency, or I think he was campaigning to become president on the first time, and there were some camera crews following him around. And he specifically asked them to turn the cameras off when he got to his barbershop.
Wow. Because
it was such a sacred space. Because it has become a sacred space for the African American man. And I'm sure, and I've not spent as much time in the beauty salon, black beauty salon, but from what I hear and what I know, it represents a similar sentiment that it's sacred ground. You can't disrespect it. There's a certain protocol, a certain way you act. We learn about, again, social issues, political issues. It's also a place to laugh and have a good time and enjoy ourselves. I mean, we've had a movie, Ice Cube produced a series of movies called Barbershop.
Right.
And it was the center of that community, if you remember those movies.
Right.
And in that case, it was mimicking what was already happening in our various communities.
Right.
It was the epicenter of, I mean, you can just imagine even Dr. King having to go to a barbershop,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
and that was pivotal in our lives,
Yeah.
and it still is pivotal in our lives.
Yeah, I think as I'm listening to you talk, I think about, and I hope I don't get this wrong, but Natasha Alskari, I believe is her name. And when you think about things that the black community we want to do, you look around and you say, well, what do we own? And the reality is there's not a whole lot of buildings or institutions that belong to us.
Mm-hmm.
And she launched art studio.
Absolutely.
And she put them in barber and beauty shops because those were our spaces.
Yes.
Those are spaces that we have access to.
Yes.
And from what I understand, it's very successful. And it provides spaces for artists to get their work displayed so
Yeah.
that we are aware of that. So when I think about the founding of the Du Bois Learning Center, we started out in churches because that's what we owned. You know, we own the church, we own the barber and the beauty salon, we own our homes, and
Yes.
much outside of that,
Yes.
it begins to be a struggle. So the value of having those spaces
Yeah.
over time is critically important.
And when I hear you say own, what I'm receiving from that, when I heard you say that, it was not necessarily ownership in that you own it in a monetary way, that you spent the dollars to own this space. Yeah. I heard you say, and I felt you say, own it as in a community, own it as in a sacred space. Yeah. And you had ownership of it, meaning that you took care of it as well,
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily because you physically owned it, it was
Right.
your establishment,
Right.
but it was ours as a community.
Yeah, absolutely. When I think about the Learning Center, I just think it's the best example. Now it's 45 years old, but
Right.
I think it's the best example of that scenario. There are so many people who had a part in making the Learning Center what the Learning Center is.
Right.
So there's a sense of ownership and a sense of responsibility
Right.
to make sure that the Learning Center is successful. It has nothing to do with me.
Absolutely.
It was years and years of families and preachers and business folks. I tell people all the time, when you think about the dignitaries who have come in and out of the Learning Center, my favorite is Ayanna Van Zant. And people go, Ayanna Van Zant came to the Learning Center? She did.
Wow.
But it was before she was Ayanna Van Zant.
Exactly.
But she came to the Learning Center, and Dick Gregory and Sonia Sanchez and Marva Collins and
Wow.
Asa Hilliard. And you think about these giants that have come over to the Learning Center.
Yeah.
That's because it's our institution. It
Yeah.
belongs to us, and we can
Yeah.
stay as long as we want.
Yeah.
We don't have to worry about the lights going off.
Yeah.
Well, we might have to worry about the lights, but we don't have to worry about somebody telling us to leave.
Right.
I'll share something with you before we get to closing. We were talking about diversity
Mhm.
at work and the importance of diversity. And one of my colleagues said to me that this whole diversity movement feels like other folks have a sandbox. And diversity is all about inviting you into their sandbox.
Right.
But the problem is, it's always their sandbox.
Right.
So whenever they get tired of you,
Yeah.
or you don't do what they think you should do, they can put you out of the
You
sandbox.
get kicked out of the sandbox.
And so when you have institutions like the Sportsman on Swart Parkway
Right.
with Ralph Brown and the Artisan on 27th Street, those are institutions that
Yes.
belong to the community. And nobody can put you out because
Yes.
it belongs to us.
Yes.
And I think that's the significance of
Yeah.
having your own space.
Yeah. Again, I heard you say with the conversation relative to diversity, I often think of diversity as, yes, allowing various individuals who represent various communities into the room,
Mm-hmm.
but inclusion means inviting those people to have a seat at the table and also having a voice. And what I also heard you say is that happens in the beauty shop. That happens in the barbershop, that we have voice.
Yeah.
You have space. You have ownership.
Right.
Everybody gets a turn to voice their thoughts and opinions in the barbershop.
Yeah.
We often debate some of the world's greatest critical issues
Right.
in the barbershop. I often laugh and say, well, when I get up out of the barber's chair, I often say, well, we've solved the world's problems, because
Right.
we spend a lot of time talking about a lot of different issues, and everybody has a voice,
Right.
and even children are allowed to. And I learned how to even debate from watching my father and his friends when I was growing up as a kid in the barbershop. The barbershop was
Mm-hmm.
the place. You went to talk about sports. You went to talk about love and relationships and family and money, economics. We talked about it all, and we still talk about it all in the barbershop. So, yeah, what I heard you say is it is more than just diversity; it's inclusion. That happens in our space, and it's okay to have our space like that.
So in closing, Dr. Smith, we really want to invite Kansas City to come out and join us on Friday, February 22nd. We will be in the auditorium at the W.E.B. Du Bois Learning Center located at 4510 East Linwood Boulevard. You can go to our website, www.duboislc.org, and we invite you to come out and join us. We'll have punch and cake and have Dr. Smith lead us in a conversation about the significance of black barber and beauty shop.